Hello, my fellow nerds. How you guys doing today? Sorry it's been a minute. I went home for my home time, and now I am back. So I thought I'd make a video. Last time I believe we talked about the final book of Tamora Pierce's Circle of Magic series. I just thought I'd maybe talk about the things I loved about the series as a whole, and some of the issues that I had. As a whole, I loved the different personalities of all the characters. You had Lark, who was very stern but hid a very motherly side. You had Lark, who was openly motherly but can also be hard when needed. You had Frostbine, who was kind of like your favorite uncle, who was always had jokes but knew, but could get serious when the need called for it. You had Nico, who was wise and almost all knowing, but very vain, because he was very vain about his clothes. And then you had the four main characters: Daja, Trish, Briar, Sandri. All of them had different personalities. I absolutely loved that. I loved the dynamic between all of them, and it all seemed to work. It all seemed to, they all seemed to mesh together really well. Then I love the differences of the magics. Even from the children with their teachers who had the same magic, there was differences, and it was absolutely wonderful how the differences could be how you came to realize just how different these kids were compared to their teachers. That was absolutely wonderful. The situation they find themselves in were all very unique. They didn't really do too. I'll probably talk about this when I talk about problems, but they didn't really pull too much Deus Ex Machina out of their butts. They really established already, kind of how they were going to, fix the problem when the problem arose, and. Oh, I had my GPS sitting right there. It was kind of blocking the camera a little bit, so I was like, move. But it made me kind of think maybe there was something wrong with the camera. So there was not too much Deus Ex Machina being pulled out of their butts. So they really did a great job. So she really did a great job of establishing the solution before the crisis, and that's always a good thing. In my opinion, I really do hate the whole. Here's a spell we just created 5 seconds ago, and it's going to work. So I'm not a huge fan of that. And then let's see. I loved the settings, because because they really focus on different locations. The first one really kind of stayed in Discipline Cottage a little bit, and then the second one really more took place in Discipline, but a lot of times you were out on the curtain the wall surrounding the temple. And then you had the book 3 took place up north in different you kind of in the same general location, but still up north away from everything. And then the fourth one, you were mostly in you were kind of in. First, it was the first sick house. I forget the name of it. And then you were in Crane's greenhouse. So that was really kind of cool. Even if you were in the same area, you still focused on different locations. That was actually really a cool thing. So it really kind of gave you a better idea of what the temple really what the areas really kind of looked like. I listened to the audiobooks, and it was what was the name of it? It was actually a group of people. I think it was Full Cast Audio, I think is the name of the group that did that. And it's absolutely wonderful. So it's you had different voices for different characters, And I'll probably talk about this in another video. I probably need to make a list of all the videos I said I'd probably make. I need to go through and watch all my videos and be like, oh, I said I'd make a video of this, I make a video of that. So I need to go through and I probably need to do that. But so yeah, and so you had different actors for different characters, and it was just a nice way of being able to keep everyone different. And actually, and it was actually really fun because the narrator of the book is Tamora Pierce of the books is Tamora Pierce herself. That is awesome, and she has such a unique, and she has such, like, I was not imagining her voice to be like that. You know, like, I don't really know what I imagined her voice to be, but it just sounds very different from how, you know, I thought it would be, because when I was listening to it, I thought it was a kind of a younger woman, more of a teenager. So she really has kind of a younger voice for a woman of her age. I don't really know how old she was when these audiobooks came out, but she has a really interesting voice, and she did a really good job narrating. You know, because as the narrator, she wasn't really allowed to put too much emotion into her words, but she did a really great job of not being a monotone. You know, so that's always kind of that's really kind of a hard thing to do. And then the other actors did a great job of giving out their emotions. They did a great job of speaking clearly. They did a great job of pronunciations. So it was really great voice work by the cast members. It was really enjoyable. I think Bruce Coville. I can't remember. I have to look him up if this is the same Bruce Coville who's the author, or if they just share the name. But Bruce Coville was one of the names. I'll have to see if he was actually one of them. Yeah. So like I said, it was a really great series. There are some issues I had with it. For instance, I wasn't a big fan of the time gap between the third and the fourth book. The other three books all take place within a couple of months. Within a couple of months, you know, they get there at you know, like basically the beginning of spring, I think, beginning of spring or summer, and you know, within a couple of months, within you know, like, not, I wouldn't even think it's a couple of months. Like, maybe, no, I would say a couple of months. Yeah, I would say a couple of months. Within a couple of months, you know, they deal with earthquake, pirates, wildfire. And then the fourth book takes place months afterwards, to where by the end of the book, it's the 1 year anniversary of the four of them living in Discipline Cottage. Sorry. So it's like there's this huge gap between books 3 and 4, and it's like, you really want to know, like, I mean, obviously nothing dramatic happened, but at the same time, she did a great job of making she did such a great job of creating this world. I really just wanted to know, like, the minutia of what happened in between books 3 and 4. Like, I would love to have, you know, a book that talked about that. Like, you know, how did they celebrate their birthdays? Were they, you know, how did they celebrate the holidays? How did they, you know, what new things did they have they done? What new things have they learned? You know, it's really, I really did want to know what the, what, you know, life is like between books 3 and 4. So it was a really long time to really kind of go without. But I kind of understand why she wanted to do that. You know, you find out at the end of the book 4. It kind of gives you an idea of why she wanted to do that. So, so that's not too big of a complaint. Another problem I have is kind of the magic system. I kind of touched on this a little bit, the Deus Ex Machina thing. There's not too much of that, but at the same time, there's some aspects of the magic system that don't quite fit, or don't quite, that just seem kind of broken. For instance, throughout all the books, they're able to project their magic outside of their body and basically spy, you know? And I don't think she's ever said definitively if they're able to, like, see and hear people when they throw their magic out. But even if it's not, you're not throwing your magic out, you're still, they still established that they were able to see mages at the very least. So that's a great way of spying, you know. So it's like, how do you stop that from happening? You know, and then of course, they send their magic out, and they're able to do magic with their like magical selves. You know, so it's like they don't need their bodies. So what's the limitations here of sending your magic out? Like, you know, they're able to send their magic out, and they're able to be gone almost for hours. And when they come back, the only like side effect seems to be is you're a little stiff from standing for so long. So it's like, okay, so what limitations are there? What can and can't you do with this, you know, astral projection, for lack of a better term, you know? And then, you know, some of their magics in and of itself didn't quite make sense. Like, for instance, Daja. You know, she's a smith mage. So her power comes from fire and earth. And basically the things you would use, fire, earth, metals, things you would use to make forging, right? But at the same time, you know, she's able to but at the same time, she's also able to use her lungs as a bellows and blow really hard. So does she also have air magic as well? So what exactly is the magic? Because you'll find out in later, probably in the sequel series, but I'm going to go ahead and spoil it now because it's not a big thing. But there are academic magic mages and there are ambient mages. I don't know if maybe I said this in a previous video, but I'm going to kind of reiterate this. But the ambient mages pull magic in from wherever their magic comes from. So green mages pull them in from plants. I already said what Daja pulls her in from. Trish gets her magic from the weather. So you pull your magic in from wherever it comes from, and then you and then you have academic mages who pull their magic from themselves. You know, and there's a really great line in. Try to remember which book it was. I think it's I know it's in the next series. I want to say it is in the one that follows Triss's next book. I want to say it's that one. I want to say it's Nico who says it. That's kind of that's kind of the upsides and downsides of the different magics. Academic mages have to build up their power and learn how to build it up, whereas ambient mages have to learn how to control a lot of power that's coming in. So, so it's like, okay, so where does the magic come from? And then, of course, for instance, and then, you know, for like Sandri, where does her magic come from specifically? Does it come from plants? Does it come from animals? Does it come from, you know, the worms that make silk? I mean, where exactly does that come from specifically? Does it only come from thread that's already made? And then, of course, speaking of thread and thread magic, there's one scene in Sandri's book where Triss accidentally makes a water spout, and Lark is able to unwind the water spout somehow. Even though she establishes in, I want to say it's Daja's book, that she needs actual thread to do a work. Like, that's what her magic works through. So how was she able to, because even though she used a spindle, like, there was no thread that connected the spindle to the, so it's like, it's really kind of odd how the magic works. There's a lot of intersections here, and it really is kind of confusing as to where it begins and ends in terms of the magic systems. So that's really probably my biggest complaint. But so yeah, and that's really kind of it. Want to talk about the great things of this book, things I had kind of problems with. But other than that, I've really loved this series. And now that I'm back at work, I'm probably going to start listening to the next series, which is the Circle Opens Quartet. Maybe I'll listen to something else, who knows. She's done a lot of books, and she's a really great author, and I absolutely love her. But, so yeah. And I think that's going to be it for the day. And right now I'm really kind of deciding about what to listen to on audiobook, because I've restarted listening. I've resumed the Wheel of Time series, So I might continue listening to that, but at the same time, I also kind of like want to re-listen to a lot of books that I'm going to be talking about. So I'll go ahead and I need to think about that. But you guys have fun. You guys be good. And like, share, subscribe. You guys know what to do. I don't really have to go into that. But yeah, so you guys have a good one. And you, I'm trying to come up with a good sign off. So keep reading. Or, yeah, I don't know. You guys know what to do. Have fun.